to the latest by Steve Rowe podcast, a photography podcast that also looks at social media and travel. And today we're going to be looking at 5 photos that I took in the city of Songdo, Korea's city of the future, during one of the greatest storms I've ever been in, because I was also treated to some sea mist. It's on the coast, but anyway, more on that later. A little apology if you're a regular listener. I don't know how many I've got at the moment, probably like 3. I don't even think my mum listens, so maybe just 2. But yeah, sorry I'm late. You can probably hear already we have got construction work going on, and it's going on at all hours. And obviously, well, I work till late, so I don't really like doing the podcast after work. But there you go. That's unfortunately the backing track for today's podcast. There's little I can do about it. I've been waiting a couple of days, but I don't want to wait any longer. So yeah, we're just going to go and plow through it, and I apologize on behalf of the apartment construction team. So anyway, let's get straight into the photos. So yeah, Songdo, it's I think they're now classing it as a city, but it's also a part of Incheon city, and it's on the west coast. Sorry, it's on the west coast of Korea, and basically they've constructed this city to become the new international business city, and it has been one of the most expensive development projects ever. It's currently because it's still being built, it's $40 billion. It's a huge project, and they're trying to make it super futuristic. They're trying to make it a smart city as well. I'm not too sure what they're meaning by that. I mean, it looks like it's a city that runs on clean energy, so maybe that's why. But they're basically still renovating this place. Huge skyscrapers are currently still being built, and I think construction started in 2004. I should have written some notes. Let's just take a guess. 2004. And yeah, it's a super good city for futuristic shots, but only if you can get the right conditions, because currently there's little life in there. It's kind of boring. It's a bit too clean. Not everyone's moved in yet. And when you're there in the day, it's not that inspiring to be taking the kind of photos that I'm taking. But if you're doing architectural photography, definitely head down to Songdo. They've got quite a few new modern architecture concept on all of their latest skyscrapers and apartment complexes. So definitely worth checking out. And it also has this really nice mini Japanese food quarter, which if you've been keeping an eye on my Instagram, my Instagram blew up. We hit 10K. We hit 10K followers. I've gone in 3 minutes without mentioning that. We hit 10K followers in 1 week. I hit 10K on the Tuesday, and by the Thursday I was already at 11K. It was mad. I got 2,000 followers in a week, and that was just due to one photo blowing up on Reddit. So that's a throwback to last week's podcast. Use Reddit. It's just insane. 2,000 followers, and one of the posts, I did one post that got me about 1,000, but someone else, I don't know who, also posted the photo on the subreddit pics and linked my Instagram, just the handle, because you can't link the actual hyperlink. It's so annoying, but they did put my handle, and so I had my own post got to 25,000 upvotes, and their post got to 23,000 upvotes. That's so much traffic to my Instagram, and there you go. That's how you get the followers. So if you're listening and you've come over during that week, hello and welcome, and thank you for coming over. So there you go. We hit 10K. What's the next target? Maybe 20K. Who knows? Could go all the way. Could just now set the next target as 100,000, maybe. Actually, today's social media tip or subject that I'll talk about is getting prepared for when Instagram is no longer the it app, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. So anyway, yeah, back to Songdo. As you can see here, if you look at the top of the buildings, you can see there's this haziness going on, and that's a low-hanging sea mist. So when I got out of the subway station, I was like, there's something missing. I couldn't work it out. And it was basically, there's the tallest building, 300 meters in Songdo, was just gone. The sea mist had completely swallowed it up, and I could just see maybe like the first 10 or 15 floors. It was insane. And then like, because I still couldn't work it out, and then I was walking around, and then I just saw its head pop out at the very top of the sea mist, but the middle of the building was still completely covered up. I did a little video about that on my Instagram story. So yeah, it was awesome conditions, and it completely gave off the Blade Runner vibe. I absolutely loved it, and I have actually written an article on Medium about how it was my most favorite shoot ever, because it just really made me like, it made me realize again why I love photography. It was just the most insane feeling to be. I was literally like running around the city at parts because I was getting soaked. The rain was so heavy, and it was so heavy that it appeared in the Japanese shot, which completely transformed it. But yeah, no, I was running around the city trying to get in as many photos as I could before the last train left. And it's a big city, there's a lot to cover, and it's like, as I said, it's not quite ready yet, and I don't think like the transportation, like the subway only goes around the outside and not through the middle, which is quite annoying. So yeah, completely made me realize why I love photography. I was having so much fun, and just imagining the whole scene as a Blade Runner vibe. And you've got the lights at the top of the apartment complexes and the other skyscrapers, and they were just like shining through the fog. And you've also got these little areas here. So this is like the bar quarter, and this is where you've got like a Japanese quarter was on the other side, and it's got these little tunnels and this like kind of futuristic looking piping on the side for the air conditioning units. And again, like it was just perfect. Every single bit just really suited my style, but only because it was raining and only because the weather conditions were right. If I was there on a dry night, I just don't think I would have had that much fun, and I don't think I would have shot that much. So there you go, that's Songdo. And I'll probably be just uploading these photos. I mean, this is just 5 photos that I tried to find like quite a big difference, but between each shot, but there's so many photos that I take, and it's just going to be, I'm just going to be uploading them, I think, for the next few weeks. And I don't think I'm going to get time to shoot this week, and that's because this weekend we've got the Champions League final at 3:25 a.m. One of the biggest drawbacks of living in Korea is having sporting events occur in the very middle of the night. It is the worst. I mean, I don't really get to watch much Premier League football, and you probably don't want me to talk about sport right now, but I'm just telling you, just one of the biggest difficult tasks of my life is trying to watch football in the middle of the night. So 3:25 a.m. I'll try and watch, and then the next day in the morning, so little sleep, I'm going to be trying to watch the UFC, which is also in Liverpool, in Champions League final, host to Liverpool. So there you go. There's a little bit of a sporting update for you. So I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to shoot, but I'll let you know. So here we go. Let's just talk about this picture for a minute. A lot of people were saying, and if you listen on the Apple podcast, this is a picture that was taken in front of the Japanese restaurant, and the rain is so clear that you can, so heavy that it's clear to see in the photo. It was just a perfect photo, and basically the story behind it was there's a bridge. As I'm looking at this photo, there's a bridge to my left, and the bridge had a backdrop of neon lights. It was really nice, a really good little scene that was being set up, but the rain was so heavy that no one was outside, and I was outside for 15 minutes, just getting absolutely drenched. The thing is, I don't really like to hold an umbrella whilst doing photography, because it's just kind of just too cumbersome. I want to feel free to move and swap my hands around from portrait to landscape. I want to be able to completely have that freedom, and the umbrella stops that. And so what I actually found this week, during the shoot, the Sony A7R II is completely weatherproof. My camera got soaked, and it's still running, still doing the job. So yeah, this is the shot. A lot of people thought there was a lot of editing. A lot of people thought that this was kind of some like Photoshop job to make it look completely like a painting, and so many people's like, oh, it looks like a Wes Anderson painting, it looks like a scene from the Studio Ghibli like animation. And by the way, whoever did the Totoro edit, they just randomly did it. That looked awesome. So there you go. That's honestly, compared to the editing that I do for most of my photos, this is very minimal on what I did. For this time, I did boost the clarity, and that was because I really wanted to bring the rain out. If you bring out the clarity too much, you really start to get the dangerous fields of making it too cartoonish. So be careful with that clarity slider. And lately, I've been finding out how good the tone curve is. You can do a lot with the lighting, with the highlights and the blacks and the whites, but the tone curve is really where you can manipulate each channel with a lot of freedom. So I highly suggest doing minimal work in the lighting section and doing it all of it in the tone curve. And the split toning as well. A lot of people commented on how did I get the blues to run through. This club on the right here, I didn't talk about it, but it was quite a tacky name. It had something like Celeb Club. It was, it's not good, but this little pad on the right just gives it that futuristic vibe. It kind of looks like a push pad. I'm not sure what it is. But let's just go in on the detail here. Again, if you're listening on the Apple Podcasts, bear with me. Just look at this detail. I guess the lighting was perfect. I guess my settings was just happened to be perfect for the shot. The detail, it runs all the way throughout. I probably used a large aperture. I'm not too sure. I'll look in a second, but just the detail throughout. Aperture 4.5. So that's enough for the depth of field because I'm not shooting too far away at all. ISO 4000, which is something that the Sony is very capable of doing, and a shutter speed of 1 to 60 seconds. Now, the best thing about the Sony is it's got the camera stabilization built in, so I can get all the way down to 125 for shutter speed, and I'm absolutely fine. It's still the shots are still and they don't have any shake. So there you go. This is easily my most favorite shot that I've ever taken. And it's not really cyberpunk, so it just shows you, doesn't it? So there you go. And there's some snidey comments on Reddit about how the ADT sign ruins the shot. It's come on, man. Someone's always going to find a problem with everything, aren't they? And that brings me on actually to this, because I talk a little bit about those kind of comments and what I want to talk about for the social media section of the podcast. So I've got an article coming out on Medium in the next day or two, and what it talks about is the title of it is my favorite 5 methods for gaining Instagram fans that are future-proof. And what I go on to talk about is that Instagram isn't going to be around forever, and I'm starting to see new platforms shoot up, and they're filling in the gaps that Instagram are starting to create, and they're doing it themselves. They are completely self-destructing themselves. One thing that I talked about in podcast 2 or 3, it was about how Instagram started to ban hashtags and then shadow ban accounts that use those hashtags, except no one knew what the banned hashtags was. And they didn't give any form of apology, and they didn't give any form of statement to tell people about this. And this is a company that takes paid transactions. They have no customer service base, and that's just such an unethical way to run a business, is to just let people figure it out for themselves. And I also saw tweets about people who are promoting their posts. They were paying for their posts, but they were seeing no engagement because the thing had been shadow banned. Yet Instagram was still taking the money. It's the app, Facebook as a company are just completely destroying their own platforms, and they're too money orientated. They're just so greedy. If you want to make a post popular on Facebook, you've got to pay for it. And they're trying to bring down that engagement on Instagram, I'm convinced. The only thing we can do is just wait until the next big thing comes out. But the only problem is we just don't know what that thing will be. Now, my suggestion is what we're going to want to do to be prepared for when something does happen like this, and it will, because MySpace, one of the most customizable social media platforms of all time. You were able to make your own website almost that was completely personal to you. It could really show off your personality. You could completely change the background. You could change the layout. You could even have a song on your profile, and that the whole thing just completely mirrored your personality. But then overnight, literally just like that, everyone jumped ship to Facebook to go for a uniform platform where everyone looked the same, and you can no longer show your personality through how the website looks. And that's just it. That happened overnight. And the same thing's going to happen with Instagram when an app comes along that is seemingly perfect, and it just doesn't have any of the crap. Is that my first bad word? Is it a bad word? I don't know. Any of the crap that Facebook is giving us. And I'll tell you when it will happen. It's when the major users, the top users, start to announce that they are moving platforms. And when they move platforms, the brands will follow. And it's wherever the brands are going to follow and the major users are going, that's when the whole shift will change. And everyone will notice that content is going down. And then there's people are going to be hearing about this latest app, and they're all going to jump ship. Remember, this has already happened this year with Vero, that app that came out, but then one problem with it just wasn't ready for that kind of traffic, and so it crashed. It just wasn't ready. If that thing had all their servers set up, that would probably be the most popular, that would be rivaling Instagram completely right now, but I couldn't use it for 5 days, and so I gave up with it, and Instagram had sorted itself out. Moreover, a lot of news came out about how shady the owner was, something to do with like slave labor. That wasn't something that many people, including myself, really wanted to be a part of. So there you go. The next big thing, whatever it is, we need to be prepared for it. And the way to do that, if you're trying to build your profile, is to, and I don't think this is a new thing, but something that I live by when I'm building, my profile, is to gain fans and not followers. And what's the difference? A follower is someone who just follows you and may occasionally engage. A fan is someone who's probably got their notifications turned on for when you post, and they're there commenting every day. They're there sending you messages about how your work makes them feel, and they're also liking every single post, and they may have even already purchased some of your work. Those kind of people, you need to treasure them, and you need to engage with them at all times, because when the next jump happens, they're going to be looking for your profile in the next place. And the thing is, we are all going to have to start from scratch. Again, those accounts that have worked their way up to 100,000, like in mine, that I've worked my way up to 11,000 currently, it's going to have to be rebuilt again from zero. So how do we get prepared? Here we go. 5 methods, okay? So right now, we don't know what the next big platform will be. And so what we need to do is just spread ourselves like wildfire across everything that's starting to come out. And we need to start laying a base there, and we need to be active on it. And it's going to take a lot of work, and some of it might not be that worth it because it might not be the app that takes off. But right now, what you can do to make that whole work process worth it is to start feeding that traffic to your Instagram. And what I mean by that is that what we're going to do is you're going to get your new profile on, let's just use Unsplash for now, because that's something I'm going to talk about in detail. Let's just say Unsplash, which is a photo sharing website. Leave your Instagram link at the top and have people come from Unsplash to Instagram. Now, for someone to do that, I could consider them as lost C's. I could consider them as a fan because they've taken the time to come across. And so when the next shift happens, if it is Unsplash that's going to be the most popular app, which it could be, the signs are showing us that it could be, they're already there, and you don't have to start building up from day one from scratch. See what I mean? So what is Unsplash? Let's just talk about that, because this could be the next big thing. So Unsplash, it seems to have a lot of the community-based goals that Instagram had when that first started. When Instagram first started, the creators of this new photo sharing app were going out in San Francisco. Maybe that's where it was born. They were going out and they were meeting people that were using the app, and they were going out and doing shoots together. It was so much photography focused. And, you know, it's gone from that to where the creators were engaging with their users. Obviously, they probably didn't expect it to blow up to the size they did, but they've gone from that to Facebook, you know, asking for money from you to make sure people can see your posts. And it's completely faceless now. We don't know, you know, we don't have any sort of engagement with the people. And you know what that means? It means now they've lost loyalty of their users. Before, with the creators going out and they're running community-based events, people would feel loyal to that kind of market, what's it called? You know, market idea or whatever it is. Sorry, brain's gone blank. But now, because it's so faceless and because it's just all give me your money, no one's going to be loyal and they will jump ship. It is very obvious. So Unsplash have come along, and they had come along with a business model. That was the word I was looking for. Business model of, right, photographers create a lot of good work. How about you upload your photos to this app and you let people download it for free? And so I was a little bit skeptical of that at first, because I was like, I don't really want to be giving my photos away for free. But then it just occurred to me that you're not going to be able to make a photo that high quality and people for people to print it. But what it did concern me with was people downloading the photo and using it in adverts or something like that online when they could have paid you for it. However, what it's trying to do is get you in touch with brands, and brands are starting to use it. See, what brands are starting to do now is use Unsplash and use your photos as placeholders or as mock-up designs, and then if they're a good brand, they're gonna come and ask you for more work. So there was an article written by Samuel Zeller on Medium, and I quote, "The reason why they reached out to me, they were already using a few of my Unsplash images in their global database and wanted more in the same style. And from that job, he got another job and another job. And this was all just through Unsplash. And it takes such little effort to upload onto Unsplash. Thankfully, they've got a desktop website which you can upload onto. And so it takes just a matter of seconds to get your profile up there. And then what they do, they're super active. So every single, so obviously right now I've got all my like best photos of all time, right? I've only been on the app for 6 days. So I've got all of my best photos. So I'm uploading the big guns, and every single day they're being featured on the main website on the front page. Each day I get an email to say, thank you, we're gonna feature your photo. And let's just see the views. This was yesterday's views, and I looked at today's, but yesterday's views, I had 250,000 views on my work. I had 2,000 downloads, and the likes 425. Now, what makes me think, I don't think this app is a place where people just go and like that much. I checked some of the big accounts, they don't really have that many likes compared to download. You know, in this day and age, we've got to do things quick. We've already given one click for a download and we're on to the next thing, you know. So that is, one photo got 90,000 views alone and was bang on 1,000 downloads when I took the screen capture. You know, that's a lot of traffic, and my Instagram link is at the top. I've had a few people come over from Unsplash. I've had a few people thank me on Twitter. So what happens is, if someone really likes your work, they'll thank you on Twitter, and it comes up with the photo that they downloaded. And just think, that's just another way to get your name out there, and you've not done anything. It's kind of like a, you know, people are just promoting your work. You're not paying or asking them to do it. So Unsplash, they're definitely going to be the next big, I don't know the next big thing, but definitely up there, especially if brands are already using them. And they've also just received a $75 million investment that they will promise to be used for growing a new economy for photography. Now, that's not been made apparent what they mean by that, but that just sounds exciting to me. If they're going to be pouring it back into the creators, pouring it back into the creators and helping them fund their own work. That's going to be so awesome. If they can maybe do a advertisement sort of YouTube business model, perhaps, who knows, but definitely head over to unsplash.com and start to use that website and get ready for it, because this could be the next big thing. And as you can see, it's already driving up the numbers. The next part on the list was Reddit, which we don't really need to go into. If you want to hear, because this was like a long thing what I wrote about in this Medium article, if you want to learn more about how to use Reddit, check out the previous podcast. I went into big detail there about how you can build a following and, you know, maybe gain 2,000 followers in a week like what I did. So, you know, living proof right here that stuff works. Is the next app, and this was one which I actually preferred over Vero for the two apps that came out that were similar to Instagram. Is a very good looking app. It's the layout is beautiful, and what's also great about again, is community driven. They run regular competitions. They run regular features and interviews. It's kind of like a photography magazine, and everyone can have their own profile on it and start to share their work. So it's completely community driven and a lot more exciting than Instagram with, you know, and also the competitions, you can win money, you can win equipment. It's definitely focused towards photographers. Now, that's also a problem with it at the minute, because consumers don't seem to be on the app. It's all creators, and the problem is right now all the creators are trying to get their follower to following ratio up there, and so there's not much engagement or true engagement with the app right now. So hopefully this would be one to try and build up from now, and it could be the app that has everything in place for when Instagram fails. And I say when, not if. It will, one day, I'm sure. I think, definitely start to build up your own profile. It is difficult, and I also think it's the one that's least likely to feature Instagram. So bear that in mind, but it's definitely going to be worth it. That's something that I'm putting a lot of effort into. The next one was Twitter. Now, Twitter has given me I'd say roughly, I started it in February. I didn't even know like people were still using Twitter. I'd been off of it for years, but I started using it in February. I'm already at 740 followers, and I've been doing little work to try and promote it. I have recently been linking to it on my Instagram, but that's literally just in the last week. So 740 followers, and I'm only following 42. And the reason I'm saying that is that's 740 people that have come over to my Twitter account without me having to follow them to get them to notice me. Do you know what I mean? Now, the best thing about Twitter is the retweets, because I've been retweeted from several big accounts and it's blown up one post. And the best thing about Twitter, again, is if you do get retweeted, your Instagram link is just there, plain to see. Self-promotion is not something that's frowned upon. And so it's a very accessible link that people can follow through to your Instagram profile. And yeah, I've got like hundreds, if not thousands, of followers from Twitter since I started it up in February. Taking one picture that I had that blew up was 1,000 retweets, 1,300 retweets, 3,700 likes. That got me a lot of traffic to my Instagram. Link clicks, 1,259 link clicks. That's 1,259 people that went through to my Instagram. There you go. That could be, if you get this regularly, and I'd probably get like once a week of a post blow up to that sort of, not that level, that's been the highest one, but you know, around about 500 retweets and a lot of link clicks. And so definitely get on Twitter. Obviously, Twitter's not going to be the next big thing, but Twitter is something that can enable you to get fans to your Instagram that will hopefully follow you to wherever the next place may be. So use Twitter. And the last one, use Facebook groups. Facebook groups are the only place where Facebook isn't asking you for money. Now, Facebook groups are not pages. I don't know if you've not used them. They're not pages that someone else runs. It's just a small community, a small group where anyone can post into the group, and you've got basically a target audience for any style. Now, there's guaranteed to be a group for everyone out there and every single style, and I'm a part of Facebook groups like Vaporwave Facebook groups and Cyberpunk Facebook groups, street photography Facebook groups, and all of them have been doing a good job of feeding my Instagram. Now, one post in particular, because obviously still Facebook feeds are bloated, so it's not quite the same amount of traffic as Twitter or Reddit, but still 600 likes on this one photo, but also 47 shares. That's quite a lot of eyes on your work, 47 shares, because that's 47 people's friends lists. You see, that's quite a lot of people, because obviously a lot of Facebook profiles have a lot of friends. It's a big profile, so that's a lot of eyes on your work. And if anyone's going to go click your link to see more of your work and hit that follow button, I could consider them as a fan. And so Facebook groups, start to really get yourself known in that small community and get people excited for when you're next uploading. And also really engage with other people and comment on other people's work. You've got to be active. You can't just be blasting your Instagram link all over the place. You need to also give back. And yeah, those are the websites which currently can give you fans that are going to be future proof and that you can take then to the next place. And then lastly, at the bottom of this article, I just give like a few more tips. What I also say is keep that content coming. I shoot 2 to 3 times a week. Obviously not this week because of the Champions League, but come on, I deserve a break. 2 to 3 times a week. And right now I've got a huge backlog of photos that I can just pluck from at any time and just post them on Twitter or Unsplash, and keep that engagement coming. I post on Twitter around about 3 to 4 times a day, and so that's a lot of eyeballs on my work when that stuff gets retweeted, and my Instagram link's there at the top, and hopefully I can bring people over all day, every day. You see, it's like a form of advertising, all right? So you've got to keep that content coming. Make sure you've got a huge backlog. Twitter is okay to repost old work as well, I feel, because it's kind of like, it's not like an Instagram profile that's easy to see, like, oh, you posted that 3 weeks ago, because of its like chronological timeline. I think if a post starts to get buried, just re-upload it. Especially if it was a popular post, just like re-upload it a month later, and hopefully it can be popular once again. And the last thing, and this is the most important thing. Fans are fans of your work, but also more importantly, they're fans of you as a person, and they start to relate to you. And so you need to be open, you need to be interesting, you need to be warm, and you need to thank everybody who says nice things about your work, because it really truly does mean a lot when I get these nice messages and these comments, and it just makes it all that more worth it. So what you need to do is become someone that people can start to be a fan of, not just a fan of your work. I see a few people, they're uploading great work, but they're not putting in the effort to get actual fans. They're not putting in the effort to engage with the people that are really commenting on their work. And that's a shame, because that's a fan lost. If that person keeps on saying nice things about your work and you're not reciprocating that, then they're just going to become a follower, and maybe their engagement might drop off. Who knows? So remember that. Be open. And then that's it. Is it? How long? This is the longest podcast ever, 33 minutes. Sorry if I rambled, but I think there's a lot of really good information there. And again, this whole thing will be available to read on my Medium post that's going to be out there in the next 2 days or so. Keep your eye out for that. If you want to support the podcast, head over to my website, www.bysteverowe.com. There you can head to the store, maybe buy a couple of posters or phone cases or whatever you want. Or you can just simply hit subscribe and like, because that also means a hell of a lot to get this YouTube channel built up. This is my next experiment to try and build a successful YouTube channel. And yes, I will hopefully be back next week. Hopefully I will find time to shoot, and I've got some new photos for the edit. Okay, so have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.